My boyfriend faked an entire career, lied to me, and dumped me with a $347 check. But when I walked into his party, I made sure he regretted everything. You guys, I'm still absorbing last weekend. Replaying it in my thoughts makes me wonder if I dreamt it all. Nope. My maxed out credit card and ice cream smears on my couch prove it. Ethan and I were together for 2 years. 2 years, not a fling. Netflix marathons on Sundays, awkward holiday meals with both families, and that odd couples yoga class he insisted on trying, which we both were terrible at. We had it all down. Things weren't perfect. Are they ever? I thought we were solid. We considered moving in together this summer. He kept leaving his socks around, texting during movies, and making helpful comments about my appearance. That shirt makes your arms look bigger. Or have you considered changing your hairstyle? I always dismissed it as his honesty. Past me was a doormat. Ethan texted me about this work friend meal last Friday. He never included me in his job life, stating it wasn't professional or anything. Actually, I was excited. After shopping for a new dress rip budget, I spent forever getting ready. The whole YouTube makeup tutorial, the expensive straightener I use for special occasions, etc. This costly downtown eatery has little portions and no menu prices. Red flag number 1. Ethan is there with Daniel and Lucas, his co-workers. I get an odd vibe when I arrive. Ethan barely acknowledges me, just a half stand from his chair. And you're late. Parking was tough, so I was 2 minutes late. He looks at my clothes and says, "Oh, you wore that?" Not quietly either. My face heated up when his companions exchanged this gaze. Please note that I was wearing a dark blue outfit that I liked. I joke, "Is there a dress code I missed?" He shrugs and says, "They ordered appetizers." Cool. The following hour is Ethan babbling about a job I don't understand, while his friends nod. Ethan interrupts or corrects me whenever I enter the chat. After I recalled a customer at my store, Ethan said, "She doesn't really get how things work in the real business world," as if retail wasn't a genuine career I managed for 3 years. I sit there, growing increasingly uncomfortable, wondering if Ethan has always been this condescending and I simply didn't notice, or if he's playing it up for his pals. Bad look either way. I tell Daniel that his co-worker, Olivia, my dearest friend, introduced us. Ethan stops me mid-sentence and says, "Yes, Olivia felt bad for her. Really, I was helping." Laughs. Seriously, my stomach plummeted. Nothing like that happened. Olivia warned me about Ethan's ego before setting us up, but stated he was a decent man. No, he wasn't. I leave for the restroom to avoid crying in front of them. In the stall, I text Olivia, "What the hell is happening?" When I see that Ethan tagged himself at this restaurant with Boys Night Out on Instagram, I feel like I'm not there. Olivia calls me quickly, but I put her on hold to avoid the guys seeing me cry. I splash water on my face, reapply my makeup, and give myself a sad pep talk in the mirror about eating dinner with dignity. After returning to the table, they chuckle about something but stop when I sit down. Awesome. The server brings our main courses, and Ethan keeps making fun of my food choice. Because I was anxious about the bill, I chose spaghetti, one of the cheaper selections. He kept adding, "Carb loading for a marathon. That's a bold choice for your body type." Each comment seems like a paper cut, and they build up quickly. I'm hardly eating, moving food around my plate, and counting the minutes till I leave. When Lucas asks Ethan about a presentation, Ethan tells him how his boss enjoyed his ideas, and he now runs the project. My brain clicks. Ethan was apprehensive about his 5-minute presentation the week before. He's suddenly famous. He seems to be the protagonist in another world. The bill arrives. After the waiter places it on the table, Ethan looks at it and slides it to me. I thought he was showing me the sum, but he said, "I'll never forget this." You know what? I doubt this works. I watch him for the punchline. Not one. "I've tried to work this out, but I'm no longer interested in you. I think we should split. Within a restaurant, in front of pals. 2 years together. Does anyone else do that?" Completely surprised. "Are you serious? Now? Want to do this way?" He jumps up, grabs his jacket, and says, "I still get a knot in my stomach. A girl like you should be grateful I dated you this long. You're no prize." Then he and his companions left. I was left with a $347 bill for their dumb Wagyu appetizers and nice beverages after they left laughing. The waiter's pity made everything worse. I paid with my credit card, which I'm still paying off from Christmas. Yay. and got to my car without falling apart. Olivia couldn't understand me when I called from the parking lot, crying. She delivered a pint of Ben and Jerry's and a bottle of wine to my apartment, the MVP. Between ugly crying and stress eating cookie dough, I told her everything. She was furious. I had to stop her from driving to Ethan's and causing a disturbance. She became strange, then kept asking about Ethan's work, the project, and his role in the company. Finally, she said, "Samantha, I don't know how to tell you this, but Ethan isn't who he says he is at work. Ethan isn't a rising marketing star. Coffee runs and meeting scheduling are his duties as an assistant. All those business trips, complete fabrications, big presentation, just doing the team slides. His fancy LinkedIn title, total fiction." I felt stupid. This guy lied about everything for 2 years, and I never questioned it. What else was he lying about? I went full-on detective that night when Olivia departed. I went through our text history, pics, everything. I missed so many inconsistencies, comments about money that didn't stack up, late work but across town locations. Unable to sleep, I kept thinking about how little he made me feel and how humiliated I was in the restaurant. A stranger texts me at 3:00 a.m. "Hey, Noah from Ethan's office. Olivia gave me your number. Some information is necessary." That was when things got interesting. Update 1. Thanks for all the kind comments on my last post. Reading some made me cry for good reasons. Since several of you requested an update, here's what transpired in this crazy event. After Noah, who works with Ethan, told me that my 2-year boyfriend had been living in a dream world of his own, I spent the following few days in a horrible post-breakup fog. You know, where you alternate between bawling into a pint of ice cream and furiously browsing through old images to see whether they're real. My apartment was a mess because cooking felt impossible. Dishes, laundry, and 7 empty DoorDash bags stacked up. The hardest part was that I would think of something humorous to text Ethan, then recall what happened, and it felt like getting dumped again. Did that really happen? Was running through my head. Why did I not see this coming? I avoided social media because I knew Ethan would post something irritating. I gave in Wednesday morning and checked Instagram. Ethan took a gym selfie with the phrase, "Level up, know your worth." Audacity. I nearly flung my phone across the room. Olivia brought takeout that night and found me wrapped in my comforter like a sad burrito. She has been amazing, making sure I eat real food, listening to me whine about the same things, and never saying, "I told you so," even though she had her doubts about Ethan from the start. Olivia showed me her Noah texts while we ate. They had been talking a lot, and he had tea to spill. Noah said Ethan told everyone at work that he dumped me because I was clingy and talked about marriage. Oh, what? Ethan had a Pinterest board called Future Home Ideas. He said it was research for a professional assignment. Noah revealed that Ethan not only lied about his employment title, taking credit for others' labor, put him on probation, and could get him fired. Late nights at work, he desperately tried to rectify problems before anyone noticed. Those business trips? Complete fiction. My phone rang when I was thinking about this. Ethan's mother, Sophia. I almost didn't answer. Awkward, but decided to act like an adult. Sophia has always been nice to me, remembering my birthday and asking about my life. She seemed worried and asked about Ethan and me. He told his folks we fought, but we're all right. Little fight. He publicly humiliated me, dumped me in front of his buddies, and left me with a huge bill. I avoided putting her in the middle by explaining we were taking some space. She then mentioned Ethan's birthday dinner on Saturday and how the family was excited to see me. I almost choked on my lo mein. Ethan informed his family we were together and I was coming to his birthday supper. That supper at his parents' residence, he reportedly told them we had major news. I was stunned as Olivia looked at me like I had a second head after hanging up. Is he delusional or a pathological liar? I wondered the same thing. We devised the plan then. I wouldn't ignore his family. They'd always been good to me, so they deserved to know Ethan's true nature. But I wouldn't cause a scene or be vengeful. I would attend the meal as invited and tell the truth. Noah came for coffee the next day. He was cool, despite meeting us through Ethan, which was awkward. He validated everything and provided more Ethan work, lying specifics. Only Ethan and 2 interns comprised Ethan's team. The huge presentation he led last month, he ran the slideshow as his boss spoke. Noah felt upset for me, stating he'd always thought Ethan's stories about me were incorrect. Ethan came to work saying that I was high maintenance, but I paid for most of our dates at the end since he claimed to be between paychecks, which I now realize probably meant he was awful with money. Noah received a text from their employer midway during our chat, asking if he could help with an emergency project Saturday night. Noah was upset since he had plans, but I had a thought. What if Noah needed to deliver something to Ethan's parents during the birthday dinner? It would be an ideal time. As we worked out the specifics, Ethan texted me, his first since the restaurant incident. We need to talk about what happened. I might have overreacted. Might have. Noah nearly spit out his coffee when I showed him. Overreacted is when you vent about someone being late, not when you publicly humiliate your 2-year girlfriend and charge her $347. I remained silent. Let him perspire. The next 2 days were full of preparation. Not going to this dinner unprepared. I found all the lies and past texts, dates he claimed to be at work, conferences that didn't occur, and Noah confirmed co-worker claims. Even Ethan's work event images were downloaded from the company website. Olivia helped me choose an outfit Friday night. Part of me wanted to look great despite him. We agreed that looking beautiful without appearing too hard was optimal. We chose a plain black outfit that Ethan stated made me look average, which I now realize was his bizarre negging attempt because I always got compliments. I barely slept Friday night. What if it failed? What if his family supported him? What if I froze and failed? By Saturday, I had eaten my nails to nothing and imagined 17 scenarios. Ethan texted again at noon. Looking forward to seeing you tonight. Put on beautiful clothes. I did not answer. My parents are excited. Let him think freely. I prepared in the afternoon with a strange mix of anxiety and anticipation. Olivia helped me with my hair and gave me a pep talk when I lost my nerve. At 5:30, I drove to his parents' place. I had to stop driving once because my hands were trembling so much. For a minute, I did the breathing exercises from the meditation software I downloaded months ago but never used. What was I doing? Was this crazy? Maybe I should block Ethan on everything and live normally. My determination strengthened as I thought about him sitting at his birthday meal, presumably lying about our relationship and making himself the victim. I arrived at his parents' place at 6:15, fashionably late, which would anger Ethan. Several automobiles were in the driveway. It looked like the whole family. Walked to the door after checking my makeup in the rearview mirror and taking one last big breath. Ethan's dad greeted me with a smile and hug and let me in. I felt melancholy when the house smelled like Sophia's pot roast. I liked Ethan's family, and this was probably my last visit. I turned into the living room and saw Ethan drinking and laughing at his cousin's comment. He froze when he saw me, evidently not expecting me, despite telling his family. I thought his expression was priceless. He looked panicked for a moment before calming down and smiling. He hugged me tightly and whispered, "You came. We need to chat privately." I smiled and said, "I wouldn't miss your birthday for anything, especially since you've been telling everyone we had important news to share." The color left his face. Sophia enthusiastically cheered and asked if this was it. Ethan's sister looked at me knowingly. His parents joked about having grandchildren. Ethan grabbed my elbow too tightly and tried to steer me down the hallway, but his mom cried out that supper was ready and everyone should sit down. Noah texted me on my way while we sat at the dining table with Ethan warily eyeing me. 15 minutes out, Ethan growled, "What are you doing here?" I considered after the restaurant. I smiled pleasantly and added, "Oh, Ethan, I wouldn't miss the chance to tell your family about that restaurant episode. That narrative would delight them." As his mom brought out the dinner, his countenance was in complete fear. Worth every anxious moment getting there. Game on. Update 2. I can now describe Ethan's birthday supper. Forgive the delay. I needed a mental health day after all this turmoil. My neighbor stole my password and downloaded the internet, causing Wi-Fi issues. We left off where, right? Me eating dinner with Ethan's family while he worried what I'd say. So there I was with Ethan's parents, Sophia and Robert, his sister, Mia, his grandma, and 2 cousins whose names I usually mix up. Sophia's pot roast, buttery mashed potatoes I'd fantasized about, and a gourmet salad nobody would eat but pretend to like were on the table. The first 20 minutes were unpleasant. Ethan tried to manage the conversation while looking at me. I smiled and passed the bread rolls, enjoying his left eye twitching whenever I spoke. Petty? Maybe. Satisfying? Absolutely. Sophia kept the conversation going. Bless her. She asked about my family, job, and regular small talk. She said they were proud of Ethan's promotion, and I nearly choked on my water. Ethan's face was the same color as the beats on the table. Ethan said his team was crushing its goals, and his boss was developing him for senior management. I only nodded, watching him sink deeper with each word. Robert, typically silent, suddenly queried Ethan about the Johnson account Ethan was allegedly informing his dad about, a large transaction he was leading. Ethan's ambiguous response regarding strategic pivots and core competencies could have been a horoscope. That was meaningless. His sister, Mia, caught my glance across the table. She's always been the suspicious family member that Googles facts during disagreements and calls out BS. She looked at me like, "Is he real?" Sophia then mentioned the future. She inquired about our major news and how it affected our next move. Ethan almost dropped his fork and muttered about not discussing it yet. His grandmother, who has no filter and is my favorite family member, asked, "So, are you two moving in together or what? Because Ethan said you were apartment hunting together." New to me. Again. We only got as far as me suggesting we combine our Netflix accounts to save money. Ethan mentioned that his supervisor gave him a business card to use. I couldn't resist. I inquired what expenses he could sanction. He mumbled about client meals and team outings. I casually added, "Oh, speaking of dinners, Ethan took me to this amazing restaurant last week. Honey, what was it called, where you met Daniel and Lucas?" His face lost color faster than my TikTok battery. My phone dies after 20 minutes of scrolling. Anyone else? The doorbell rang before he could reply. Perfect timing. Sophia answered and said, "Oh, Noah, what a shock." Ethan was about to faint. Noah entered with a folder in his button-up shirt. Professional. He apologized for disturbing the birthday dinner, but said Ethan needed to sign some business documents immediately for Monday morning. As the great host, Sophia promptly invited him to cake later. Ethan tried to take Noah to the front door, but Robert said they could work at the table as we're all family. Noah took the empty chair beside me, which I'd saved. Mongol. Ethan gripped his fork so tightly I feared it would bend. Robert asked Noah about Ethan's apparently led big presentation. Noah looked bewildered before understanding. I saw him making a decision as he looked at me and Ethan. Noah stated the presentation went great, but their boss gave it, and Ethan and the crew supported it. Robert was confused and replied Ethan hadn't mentioned that. Since I'm messy, I questioned Noah about Ethan's promotion. Noah seemed so awkward, torn between loyalty to a coworker and lying to his family. He fiddled with his napkin and murmured something cryptic about company restructuring. Ethan tried to switch topics to sports or whatever with a phony laugh, but his sister rejected it. She asked Noah directly about Ethan's title. The silence was like dropping something in a public restroom. Everyone hears it, but no one wants to reply. Noah stared at Ethan, who was silently imploring, then at me, nodding gently. He cleared his throat and stated Ethan was a marketing administrative assistant. The silence. Robert put down his fork gently. His grandmother said, "Huh?" Mia murmured, "Perhaps I knew it." Ethan quickly mediated, claiming Noah was confused, had numerous jobs, and was complicated. But the dam cracked. His relatives started asking specific questions he couldn't avoid. "When were you promoted?" "He hadn't." "Why was your team mentioned?" "He didn't." "That corner office you mentioned?" "Also fiction." Ethan's tales unfolded with each question. He kept staring at me like this was my fault, which made me want to say everything. Sophia, bless her, tried to reconcile. She suggested we share cake and chat about brighter topics. Mia asked me about the place I mentioned as she headed to the kitchen. I had my moment. I took a big breath and told them everything. How Ethan invited me to meet his friends, how he belittled me at dinner, and how he ditched me in front of everyone and left, leaving me with a $347 bill I couldn't afford. Ethan interrupted numerous times, but his dad replied with an expression I'd never seen before, disappointment. Ethan's defense? I exaggerated and played victim, that I embarrassed him in front of his co-workers by not fitting in. Getting the bill taught me financial responsibility. His grandmother snorted at the final one. Noah finally spoke after several silences. He validated my tale, saying he'd heard Ethan brag to co-workers about putting me in my place. He showed Lucas texts on his phone. Hey, receipts. Discussing events, Ethan tried to seem victimized. When Sophia brought the cake in, she put it down and inquired what she missed. There was silence. Ethan's dad gently suggested a family honesty discussion. Ethan threw a fit. He accused me of betraying his family, called Noah a traitor, and said everyone was jealous of his success. Which success? He dropped his water glass, pointed at me, and shouted that a girl like me should be grateful he even bothered. His mother gasped. I think his grandmother swore. His sister shook her head, unsurprised. I kept my cool and replied, I was only grateful for seeing him for who he was. Ethan stormed out, slamming the door so violently that one of Sophia's beautiful plates cracked. The aftermath seemed oddly calm. Sophia apologized 50 times. Robert looked unhappy and exhausted. Mia cleaned up water spills. Noah apologized for the awkwardness but couldn't watch Ethan lie to everyone. The oddest thing happened. Instead of sending me home, they offered cake. Ethan's ex-girlfriend, co-worker and family ate birthday cake without him. It would have been awkward in any other scenario, but it wasn't. After cake, I helped Sophia clean the kitchen. She kept apologizing and claimed she had no idea Ethan lied so much. She seemed heartbroken about her son's transformation, not simply what he'd done to me. Personally, I felt awful for her. No parent wants to discover their child is bad. She softly inquired if there were signals earlier, and I replied that I had overlooked red flags because I wanted to believe the best about him. Ethan's dad stopped me before I left. He apologized for his son's actions and thanked me for my honesty. He looked disheartened, like he was trying to figure out how they had raised him wrong. I assured him it wasn't their fault. Ethan went his own way. Noah volunteered to walk me to my car, perhaps understanding I needed time to process. As we proceeded down the road, he said Ethan had been experiencing work issues for months, taking credit for others' ideas, lying about his accomplishments, and even forging customer correspondence. This was his last warning before termination. Ethan's urgent drive to be successful made twisted sense. His flaw persona was constructed on this faux prosperity and position. Considering that, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. Thanks to Noah for supporting me. I went home feeling emotionally exhausted and relieved, like taking off an uncomfortable bra at the end of the day. I apologize for the odd analogy, but you understand. Olivia left 3 missed calls for updates when I arrived home. Ethan texted me as I prepared to call her. You ruined everything. This continues. I remained silent. I blocked his number and prepared tea. I should have been terrified or upset, but I was exhausted and maybe proud of standing up to him. I thought that was it, really. However, Ethan's mum, sister, Noah, and numerous unknown numbers left 13 missed calls on my phone this morning. Ethan had lost it overnight, as his voicemails became increasingly agitated. Update 3. I can now explain those 13 missed calls. I appreciate your patience while I processed everything. Sorry for the delay, my laptop did a surprise 4-hour update precisely when I got down to write. So, where were we? My phone was full of Ethan's relatives and Noah calls Sunday morning, following the birthday dinner debacle. I initially believed someone had died. 5 missed calls from Sophia, 3 from Mia, 2 from Noah, and 3 from unknown numbers had my stomach plummet as I read through the notifications. Sophia answered the phone on the first ring, sounding fatigued because her voicemails were just variations of, Samantha, please call me as soon as you can. She appeared most frightened. Ethan apparently went on a bender after storming out of the birthday meal. He arrived at his ex-girlfriend's place, drunk and raving about how I'd ruined his life at 2:00 a.m. Mia had to pick up the ex, who I didn't even know existed, who was understandably frightened off. There was more. Ethan also spent the night sending rambling messages to almost everyone we knew. He texted Noah, threatening to ruin him at work. Lol, good luck when you're fired. He wrote this lengthy Facebook statement about being besieged by snakes and people regretting betraying him. Most worrisome was that he sent his friend Lucas my address in a private conversation, threatening to punish me for humiliating him. Lucas, who seems moral, phoned Sophia and forwarded the message, which is why she was so frantic to reach me. I was sitting on my couch in my ragged old pajamas, hair still in yesterday's sloppy bun, trying to comprehend all this information while Sophia apologized 50 times for her son's behavior. Maybe I should have been afraid, but I was simply tired. Like when your phone is stuck at 1% battery for hours, waiting to die so you can charge it and move on. Sophia came over to check on me, which was kind but made me panic clean my flat. Nothing drives cleaning like knowing someone's mum will see your home, right? My doorbell rang as I threw filthy laundry in my closet and scrubbed dried toothpaste off the sink. Sophia had Mia too. I might miss Ethan most because they brought coffee and tiny little pastries from the shop near their house. They told me about Ethan while we sat at my tiny kitchen table with the wobbly leg I've been wanting to fix for months. Mia said Ethan had lied about his life before. He reportedly told everyone he was on the baseball team in college when he was cut during tryouts. He once claimed to be talking to a popular girl who didn't know him. He constantly imagined himself as more successful, popular, and everything else. I received texts from pals who saw Ethan's social media meltdown while they talked. Olivia was terrified and wanted to bring her kickboxing boyfriend over, in case. I swear she watches too many crime shows. Many bewildered messages about Ethan's dramatic subtweets filled my group chat. Then my doorbell rang again. I froze, wondering if it was Ethan. Noah appeared through the blinds, and Mia breathed deeply. Ethan had mentioned visiting me, so Noah wanted to warn me in person that he had been blowing up his phone all morning. Me, Ethan's mum, his sister, and his co-worker sat in my living room on a Sunday morning, trying to figure out what to do about this man-child screaming a tantrum because he was caught lying. It would have been funny without the tension. Imagine explaining this to someone who wasn't there. Noah said their employer heard Ethan's social media rant. Someone screenshotted and forwarded it, making Monday at work interesting. Mia worried Ethan would do something reckless if he lost his job too. Then my doorbell rang again. Thanks for watching and diving into this wild family drama with me. If you love Reddit family drama, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss the next one.